Energy crisis amid the West Asia tension have hurt India. Welcome to Guru Gyan with Be Smart Business Standard. In this episode, you will hear from Mr. Vaibhav Maloo, Managing Director, Enso Group, and CEO, Enso Webworks. Mr. Maloo has been closely associated with the organization since its inception in 2005. In addition to his corporate responsibilities, he also served as the president of the Enso Foundation, contributing to group's philanthropic initiative. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from the Tipper School of Business at Carnegie Mellon University. He further enhanced his academic credential with a postgraduate diploma in global business from Seth Business School, University of Oxford. So, let's jump into the session hosted by BSmart Deputy Editor Abhishek Chatterjee.
Hi, Vaibhav. Very good evening, and welcome to this new session of Guru Gyan. We are very pleased to have you today with us, and I'm sure this will be a great session, and the viewers will learn a lot from this session.
Pleasure is all mine, Abhishek. Thank you so much for having me here. Looking forward to talking to your viewers.
Sure. So, today's session we will be discussing on the on a very trending topic, which is the energy crisis. So how energy crisis amid the West Asia tensions have hurt India. This is going to be the topic of discussion. And we will start with the first segment, which is, of course, the geopolitical trigger, why US-Iran tensions directly create an energy crisis. So over to you, Vaibhav.
Right. Right. So the US-Iran tension has been going on for a long time. Ever since Iran is trying to procure nuclear weapons, Iran has been sanctioned by USA, and this particular tactic of USA has cost Iran a lot monetarily and fiscally, and has really suffocated the economy of Iran. Although is very rich in crude and other natural resources, it cannot export them. It cannot get payment in lieu of them in dollars, and that is a big handicap for countries, a small country like Iran, to go through, and for other countries who depend on Iran for oil and other natural resources like LNG, LPG, etc., are suffering because the sanctions directly affect them, and they cannot import directly, although geographically they are near them. This war has created a tension in Strait of Hormuz, which has directly impacted the supply of 80% of 90% of Indian, no, 50% of Indian imports of oil, which is 90% of the total consumption. So that part and the increase in fuel price has really taken India by storm, because there's shortage of LPG, LNG prices are soaring up, and India is ready for stock market is declining because the fundamentals weaken, because oil is a necessary commodity for almost all industries and power sector. LNG is required. So India has taken a hit, and to recover, I think if this particular war and diplomatic talks that are going on in Islamabad right now, as we speak, to decide the fate of Iran, and what if sanctions are to be lifted permanently as a result of these talks, and there's a full and final settlement between USA and Iran. In that eventuality, everybody's a winner in this case at this point, as far as energy requirements and global oil prices go.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. We will be discussing about the next segment, which is the global energy shock from supply disruption to price spike.
Right. So the supply of oil and LNG has been disrupted largely due to Middle East Strait of Hormuz being choked, and there's suddenly a surge in demand from other countries, where the world is looking at to get in a LNG, LPG, and oil to suffice the requirement of the refineries to produce LPG, petrol, diesel, and different things. This particular deadlock is not good for the economy globally, because the supply is obviously in dearth, and demand is increasing, resulting in oil prices going above $100. Now the world has lived in this kind of an environment where oil prices were $100, back in the day in 2000s, early 2000s, but it's not something that they can live on at this point because the dependency has increased on due to larger industrialization globally since then. So and especially in East Asia, Southeast Asia, India, and neighboring countries to Iran, the demand for Iranian crude has and dependency has been going up and up, and Middle Eastern crude altogether. So a diversion of vessels from Iran to other countries can come at a huge transportation risk, which will choke the economy further, and, along with the increasing prices.
That was really insightful, Vaibhav. So, you have touched upon the dependency part. So let us now discuss about the next segment, which is, of course, India's structural vulnerability and the import dependence risk.
In India imports 90% of its crude and requirement, and 50% of it comes from Strait of Hormuz, like I said earlier. So it obviously is a very critical situation for a country like India, which does not have offtake agreements as a backup with other countries yet. And was ill prepared for this war, but nobody saw this war coming. Also, it was a sudden overnight, over a few days shift of geopolitical tensions that led to this war. Now, in eventuality of Iran being sanctioned and Russia also being sanctioned, India is grasping for cheap oil and gas. And the requirement can be fulfilled by countries in other parts of the world, which India has to turn to. But that comes at a higher transportation risk as well as the prices have gone up. So India has to gear up for this in a better way by acquiring blocks of oil and gas licenses overseas to extract their own oil and gas and import them into their own shores at a cheaper cost if it's owned by a PSU, say HPCL, BPCL, IOCL, or ONGC, OVL. If they acquire blocks overseas, assets overseas, and mine the natural resource of oil and gas and ship it back to India, we are going to be long-term winners because that secures the energy requirement of the country, if not from local shores, and that also can be increased by doing more surveys locally, geographically, offshore and onshore surveys to discover more reserves in India, within India, and obviously to acquire blocks outside, more offtake agreements, and of course store more oil, gas, and oil, LNG, and LPG locally. And store it with the contingent plan in mind to suffice for a certain amount of time in case of a war like this ever happens again.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Vaibhav, let us hear from you about now the real economic impact, how it has hurt the economy in terms of industry, consumers, and markets.
In terms of economy is obviously segregated into industries and consumers, and stock markets, obviously the financial markets obviously take a hit as a result of what happens down there. So in terms of industrial use of oil and gas, it's the backbone of power sector, which is the most important sector right now in India. In terms of I'm sorry, the most used resource of India is LNG power. The power plants are fueled by LNG, and nuclear power and renewable power in India is very weak. It accounts for 50% of India's power, but actual usage is about 24% only. So in that eventuality, I think Indian power sector is very badly hit. And that results in a lot of problems, which is again, power is again a backbone industry of other industries. LNG is also used in petrochemicals, petroleum products industry. It's used in oils, and LNG is used in vehicles where consumers are hit, LPG where homes are hit. So in every sphere of life, oil and gas is hitting us by increasing the cost of purchasing it. In this eventuality, stock markets obviously the fundamentals will fall weak and inflation will go up, resulting in probably the central banks taking charge and increasing interest rate at some point later if this war continues, which is bad for the stock market if the rate goes up. That's the ultimate cycle of big money that is affected, and that affects all of the stock markets, and bank money, affects all the financial markets and stocks, etc. So I feel like this particular war is not in the interest of economy of any country at this point, because Iran is at a in the central position, and that region is very, very crucial for global supply of oil and gas. All of OPEC is there. Europe also is going to be badly hit because of winter time going on right now, and heaters required to be powered by natural gas produced power. So this is a crisis at hand, and hopefully the talks going on in Islamabad will result in peace and ceasefire, and in interest of global economy and global welfare. I hope peace prevails.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Let us also hear from you about how India's response has been. So, the next segment will be about India's response playbook, the resilience, and the strategic shifts.
Okay, India has been a peaceful country throughout its history, pre-independence too. I mean, there were skirmishes, there were some minus a few odd skirmishes with China and Pakistan in the course of Indian independent history. In Since independence, we haven't had India doing anything drastic in terms of attacking another country. So India has been pacifist, although it's been a victim of terrorism. It's been a victim of land stolen from it from China in terms of Aksai Chin and POK during the course of this time. And we've been pacifist with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in the beginning saying we'll go to UN to get our Kashmir back. But that has not happened yet. Ultimately, the way it should function is that UN should be the central body, and if Iran is acquiring nuclear weapons, should send Security Council and peacekeeping forces there to take care of it. Why is that World War II ending mechanism not helping this situation where vis-a-vis Ukraine, Russia, and Iran, USA, Israel, mainly. That's the talk point. But all these wars, it's a lack of inaction of United Nations that has resulted in this kind of chaos in the world. And I feel like India's policy is aligned with peace, and they try to mediate. India has not been given a chance to mediate in this particular eventuality here. Pakistan has, and which is very welcomed. They may be our rivals, but one can only be happy for a country gasping for diplomatic breath, and they get some. This will put them on the spotlight and also make them accountable for any terror or any other activities that may take place in any neighborhood, especially India, from their soil. Because today they are known to be that country that pacified Iran and USA, which is a good thing to put them on a pedestal there. So I feel like India's stance is just to be a pacifist and take care of its economic interest in terms of being able to import enough oil and gas from Strait of Hormuz right now.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. So, with that, we come to the end of discussion, and with that, we come to the end of this session. We hope to stay in touch with you, stay in contact with you, and have you again in any of our future sessions. Thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chatterjee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malo, for that insightful session. BSmart viewers, please share your queries and feedback at bsmart.edit@bsmil.in and follow us on LinkedIn and Insta for more such insightful and inspiring content. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.